Well, hi everyone, it's Pete here at Mr. Slytherin, and in this video we're going to have a look at the construction, or rather the expansion, of our lace monitor enclosure. Alright, so as you can see, we have jovially called our lace monitor enclosure Villa Veranda for no apparent reason other than just to have a little bit of fun. What we've got now, as I say, with this enclosure is more of an extension. Pre-existing enclosure was around 5 metres by 3 metres, giving us about 15 square metres. We've nearly doubled that now. We've got about 6.5 metres by 4.5 metres, giving us just under 30 square metres of area. In hindsight, I probably would have built the enclosure from day one the current size, but our plans were a little bit different about 7 years ago to use the space that we had left vacant. Things have changed since, and what we've decided to do is take the enclosure all the way to our perimeter fencing, giving us that extra size. And what we realised almost immediately with that extra enclosure size was the obvious amount of space that he had to walk around in, meaning more exercise, but also it allowed us to actually give a little bit of vertical space, as you can see from the video as I pan around and show the interior of the enclosure. Now the enclosure itself is pretty basic. It's just a wooden frame construction, and we've used a combination of product, Zinc-Alume, corrugated Zinc-Alume and Colorbond. And where we've actually got coloured Colorbond, we've used the reversed side to make all the interior look grey for more of a uniform look. Where possible, I have recycled materials and upcycled some materials, however you want to look at it. So as I pan around the enclosure, you can see that the construction is relatively primitive, but effective nonetheless. A couple of key considerations, and they're pretty obvious, is one, the height of the walls. So the height of the walls at the lowest point where I'm standing, the interior height is 1.2 metres. At their highest, they're 1.5 metres. 1.2 is about the minimum I would recommend, and that gives you enough height using this type of material that your lace monitor can't climb out of. The northern side of the enclosure, the walls are much higher. Now we've only really done that, it's a little bit extra security, but more to block out our perimeter fence more than anything. So it's more of an aesthetic. The second thing, and importantly, is we've also got a steel reinforced concrete trench around the perimeter. I'm pretty lucky, this guy doesn't dig too much, if at all, but the concrete perimeter means that if he was to dig around the perimeter or the boundary fence, he would hit nothing but concrete and wouldn't be able to go any further. Now you may have also noticed that there's no real area dedicated for hiding or overwintering. So as you can see from this little video, Cagney is able to exit the pit via a small entry at the base of one of the walls. That wall leads to this particular box. It's a very, very simple box that's attached to the outside of the enclosure, made of marine ply, about 18mm marine ply, so it's quite thick, quite durable, and I've sort of decorated it in old fence palings and things like that for a bit of extra protection from the weather. What this also enables me to do is a couple of things. It gives me access to him if I need it at certain times. And you can see that I've got one more of a, I guess a decorative lid, bit of extra protection, and a secondary lid that's covered in some old pond liner for weatherproofing. And I'll just bring the camera in here, and you can see that it's really nothing more than just a wooden box with some sugarcane mulch, and also some mulch that he drags in there from the enclosure itself. This wooden box is all painted and weatherproofed and stays dry. I can't stress that enough. That's my number one objective, is for any area that your animals sleep in or hide in, especially during the colder months. If you're in an area where it does get cold, as I am, I can't stress enough the importance of keeping things dry. Cold is not a huge drama, but I think cold and wet as a combination can be really, really devastating. So this box, his sleeping quarters, is quite dry all year round. Now I've just showed you the hide box. Now I do have to confess, I've mentioned that cold doesn't bother me too much. It's a combination of cold and wet that I want to avoid. However, I will admit that the hide box is actually heated in winter. So as you can see here, I do have power running to this box. Now all I've done here, as at the bottom of the box, is I've attached a very low wattage heat mat. I think it's about 15 watt, and it's in one particular corner of the box. The best way I can describe it is enough heat to take the edge off the cold. Melbourne winters do get very cold at times, and obviously his ability to access sun is greatly reduced during those times as well. So I do cheat a little bit, if you like, by providing a bit of supplementary heat during the colder months. And now that we're in the summer months, it's completely turned off. One of the things I really want to point out with the extension of our cage, well, and the enclosures for all our animals really, is trying to provide the animals with as natural an environment as possible. Now clearly we can't replicate the wild, but what we can try and do is give our animals the best possible opportunity at a good existence, and that's really what this is all about. And the same goes for all our cages and enclosures. Extending our Lacey cage here has really, I think, seen some immediate benefits. Just if nothing else, the ability for our animal to exercise more. And not only that, what it's also been able to do is provide more opportunity for basking, even in the colder months. And that's really important, not just for warmth, but UV exposure as well. I'm not going to go too deep into that, and we all know about UV exposure. So I think that's the other thing that's really helped us realize with our cage extension, and something we'll be putting into practice and consideration going forward with any of our enclosures. So there you go, there's a look at Villa Goanna, the enclosure of Cagney, our Bell's Form lace monitor. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you do, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, everyone. So let's start off by firstly apologising for any background noise that you might get. How timely.